A few months back, I bought a new camera bag and I uploaded a YouTube short where I unboxed the camera bag. And during that unboxing video, I promised that I would do a proper review. You know, it's been like maybe 7 or 8 months now, and I have spent a lot of time with the bag. You know, I'm a full-time photographer, so I do take it out most days. I've traveled with the bag, on planes, trains, all kinds of public transport. I've walked with it. And I think, I've used it enough now to be able to properly talk to you about what I think of the WANDRD PRVKE 21 litres bag. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I'll put it in the description and on screen just in case. My previous experience of camera bags were bags that couldn't hold the weight of what I needed to carry. Ones that gave me back pain, ones that were splitting, or just like tote bags and gym bags that I just picked up and threw cameras in because they were big enough to hold the cameras. And then a couple of years back, I decided to get a suitcase to put my stuff in, like a camera suitcase. It was designed for photographers, but that just ended up with, all sorts of other issues, giving me back pain, hip pain, breaking when I really didn't need it to break, and then having to carry it with my hands. So I thought that it was about time that I actually invested in a good camera bag, and I did my research, I read reviews, and I ended up going for the WANDRD PRVKE 21 litres. And for me, so far, it's been the perfect bag for the predicament I had, which was being able to carry all the equipment I needed to carry safely and securely without, injuring myself in the process. So I opted for the 21 litres version, and a lot of people kind of asked me why, because, as a photographer, we carry a lot of equipment, and WANDRD do make bigger bags. But, I'm 5'5", around that kind of height. I'm not very tall at all, and I think it would just look a little bit ridiculous if I had a bigger bag. But that was definitely a worry of mine. When I got the 21 litres, I was thinking, is it going to be able to hold everything that I need? But thankfully for me, this bag has kind of been the optimal size for what I need. I bought the photography bundle version 3, I think, and that comes with this camera insert, which goes into the, the main body of the bag. And that's really helpful for keeping your camera secure, keeping it safe. So I would recommend picking up this version of the bag, this camera insert, if you are a photographer or a videographer. From my experience, the camera fits at least 2 cameras. So I could put in a Sony a7 III and a Sony a7 IV, both with lenses, or sometimes I'd put like a Sony a7 IV in a lens and my Mamiya RZ67 and a lens. And you guys know that that is a really big camera, so it definitely does fit, quite a lot into just that camera insert. If you want to kind of push it and you're not really like strict on the safety of your equipment, the roll top does also fit in extra cameras. So sometimes I'll shove in like a second digital or a 35mm camera into that top. It's obviously not as secure as the main body with the camera insert, but it does its job. In terms of durability, I've not noticed the bag struggle at all. I put some really heavy things into this bag and it hasn't felt like it's gonna snap, it hasn't felt like it's gonna tear, which other bags previously have done. And one of my favorite things about this bag is, the amount of pockets. It has so many pockets, perfect for like spare ND filters, spare batteries, or just things that you would like carry in your everyday bag anyway. The bag does have a side access pocket, which means you don't actually have to like completely open the bag to get your camera out. You can just unzip the side pocket and take out the camera. I would say that I personally haven't used this very often, but probably just down to the way that I pack my bag, it probably wouldn't make my life much easier to utilize that. So I think I've only used that feature like a handful of times. My personal favorite pocket is this tiny little pocket on the top of the back of the bag. It's perfect for, things that you need to keep in your bag that you need to access quickly, but you want to keep safely because, it's placed against your back. So it's a little bit harder for people to get into than if it was on the front. So I use this for stuff like money or cards, keys, like my AirPods, things like that, that I need to get really quickly, but I also don't want to be left like on the outside of the bag where anyone can kind of put their hand into it. The clamshell back in general works great as kind of like an added sense of security. It's definitely one of my favorite features of the bag because it just makes you feel a little bit like everything in your bag is a bit more secure. It's also padded really nicely, so it's very comfortable on your back. It has a laptop sleeve, which is a really good size. I have the MacBook 2015 15-inch MacBook, and that's quite a big laptop. I've never really been able to find a bag, especially a camera bag, before that fits that laptop so like nicely and easily. So if you do have a bigger laptop, like the 15 or the 16-inch laptops, it will fit into the bag. Definitely an added bonus. I also use this bit to kind of like keep like film negatives and stuff, you know. If I've gone to the lab, picked up my negatives, I'll put it into that little bit because it just helps to keep them a little bit flatter and more secure than if I was to maybe, you know, throw them into another bag where they'd get crushed. The only thing about that is that sometimes I do forget that they're in there, and then I try and put my laptop in and then kind of like squish it up. So if you're going to do that, try and remember that you put them in there. The bag also has like a side pocket for like a tripod, a mini tripod or something, but I generally use it just as like a water bottle holder. Another great feature is, as far as I've kind of noticed, the bag is weatherproof. So I've been out in the snow, I've been out in the rain, I've been out in, you know, really horrible Manchester weather conditions, and it's always held up pretty nicely. I wouldn't personally keep as much in the roll top at the top, just because that I feel like would be more easier to infiltrate with like rain and stuff like that. But the main kind of compartment where you put your cameras, where the camera cube is, that for me is really stable and really, you know, secure, that it's not, water's not getting into that. The bag is also wipeable, which is great because, you know, I set my bag down in a lot of like different places, like especially when working on location, and so to be able to kind of like wipe it away and like clean the bag and get rid of scuffs and dirt really easily is definitely an added bonus, because obviously you don't want to turn up to a job where you have like loads of dirt on your bag or whatever. Overall, I'm really happy with my purchase. I'd recommend it to any photographer and also videographer, although I know you guys have a little bit more equipment to carry around than we do. On my original unboxing video, I had a lot of questions about whether or not it would fit a medium format camera, and from my experience, yes it does. It fits my Mamiya RB67, it also fits my Mamiya RZ67. I don't have a Pentax 6.7 to try, which was one of the questions, but I believe that they're kind of a similar size, so it should fit quite nicely. But yeah, I've taken this bag, I've travelled with this bag loads, I've taken it on loads of jobs, and I would definitely recommend it if you guys are looking for a new photography bag. Let me know if there are any questions that I've not covered in this video, any things you want to know about the bag that maybe I can answer, and I will do my best to reply to those in the comments. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this gives you a good overview of how I found the bag and how I found it as a photographer.